Bonjour mes amis, je m'appelle Tito, je fais des vidéos sur les finances personnelles sur mon autre chaîne, mais sur cette chaîne je parle d'autres choses comme aujourd'hui où je vais revoir le film Grand Amour, aka Big Love. Big Love is about Amil and Adina, two old schoolmates who reconnect while at an organization's training camp. As they spend more and more time together, sparks fly and Amil quickly falls in love, while Adina holds back for reasons best known to her. Big Love is an Inkblot Studios production and it's written and directed by Biodun Stephen. Now, this film stars Bimbo Ademoye and Timini Egbuson. As many of you know, they were in Breaded Life together just a couple of years ago. That was a very big film in cinemas in 2021 and a very big film on Netflix in 2022. And I think the makers of this film wanted to try and, capture that lightning in a bottle one more time by casting them up against or opposite one another in this film Big Love. It also is directed by the same director of Breaded Life, Biodun Stephen. I think she also wrote the story and produced it. Did it all work? Well, we'll find out throughout the course of this review, beginning with les représentations in the film Big Love. Bimbo Ademoye. Bimbo plays Adina in this film, a career-driven young woman who is quite cautious when it comes to love, I think because of things that have happened in her past. And Bimbo did a very good job. This was Bimbo like I've never seen her before. I've seen Bimbo in a number of things, most of which were like comedic roles. But in this one, she was very serious. And it was refreshing to see her play this kind of character. I don't know if I had the choice if I would have picked Bimbo for this role, but regardless, Bimbo did a really good job. Timini Egbuson plays Amil in this film, and he was a lover boy because, Timini, he tends to get those lover boy / bad boy roles, right? And he was a lover boy in this film, but not the conventional lover boy / bad boy. He was like a lover boy, but the mushy kind in this film. He's really looking to, I don't know, maybe like settle down and whatnot, and that as well I don't think I've seen from Timini very often, so that was a bit refreshing too. I like how they try to make this character different for Timini, because when you play the leading man and a love interest, sometimes it gets a bit monotonous, and I did see how they tried to switch things up a bit for Timini in this film so that we don't see a past character that he's played in another film from whenever. Jaiye Kuti was also in this film. In this film, she plays Timini's character's mom. I believe her character's name was Karima, right? And she's the typical Yoruba mother, but one who has a heart, kind of. She's not, because sometimes when you think, typical Yoruba mom, you think she's wicked and she's just very hard-handed and whatnot. But Jaiye Kuti's character in this film, she had a heart, essentially. I don't want to give too much away. Shafi Bello was also in the film as, was her name Kafi or Kafil? She was Jaiye Kuti's character's sister, and they were just like two peas in a pod. Pretty much, they had predominantly, or well, most of their scenes together, right? And Shafi Bello was very entertaining in this film. This was the liveliest I've ever seen Shafi Bello in a movie before. She was very bubbly, very, enthusiastic. It was refreshing to see as well. And she did a decent enough job too. Kalu Ikeagu was in the film. He played Timini's father, Timini's character's dad, Bako, in this movie. And Kalu Ikeagu he's a very good actor. I really appreciate him. The last thing I saw him in was I'm seeing the character, and I'm seeing it was this thing on Showmax, Diche. He was really good in that. But in this film, like I said, he plays this fatherly, character or role, right? There wasn't a particular standout moment with his character for me anyway, but he did a really, really good job, and he was probably the best person to play this character in this movie. Teniola Aladese was also in this film, and so was Seyi Awolowo, but I won't be talking about their characters. Ce que j'ai aimé. I liked the product placement in this film. There's an organization, a popular one, that features in the movie, and they don't try and like force feed us with the branding like, some people did with Ijakumo. It was very subtle in this film. They just showed it the right, amount, and they talked about it. They didn't even talk about it too much. You just know it's there and it catches your eye. It was very tastefully done. It didn't distract from the movie. I liked the product placement. In fact, I think this is how you do product placement properly in a movie. I also liked the lighting in this film in certain scenes, particularly in some night scenes. The lighting really, it popped. It just looked really nice. And speaking of things that popped, the cinematography and the production too generally looked really nice. It looked very clean. So yeah, those are the things I liked about this film. Ce que je n'ai pas aimé. At certain points in this film, it was feeling a bit like it was trying to be an American movie. There are some things that felt a bit foreign to me. For example, kissing in the rain or making out in the rain. I don't know if it's something that happens either in real life or in movies in this part of the world. Sure, like in American films, you see that kind of thing. But here, it just felt a bit weird to me. And that was just one, instance. There were a couple of other things that felt rather foreign to me in this film. So I didn't like that. I also didn't like how the two main characters in this film were flawed, but not in a way that the writer or the filmmaker wanted us to see them as being flawed. I felt like this was something that they didn't plan, because Amil, Timini's character, he there are certain times that he was giving us some major relationship red flags. Yeah, he was doing certain things that as they say these days, gave me the ick, right? So there are those things with his character. And then also Adina's character, she didn't feel like the strong woman that they wanted us to see her as at certain points. It felt to me like she was being manipulated, in a couple of instances. And that just didn't make the character seem strong in a way that lead characters like that often should seem or look strong. Another thing I didn't like about the film was there was something in this movie that reminded me of something that happened in Sista. So Amir is Amil's brother in this film. Amir is played by Deza the Great, right? And he's like the older brother to Timini's character. And early on in the film, he talks about some challenges that he's going through with a woman in his life. And that actually sounded really interesting. And I was expecting and even hoping that we would see this woman at some point in the movie. Sorry to break it to you guys, but we don't see the woman in the movie. This woman that Amir is having issues with. And that kind of hurts because I was looking forward to that. And why I say it reminded me of something that happened in Sista. If you remember in Sista, Temitope Oluoniyo's character complained about her boyfriend and how he was dragging his feet regarding their relationship. And that also sounded interesting. And I was looking forward to seeing, this so-called boyfriend, but we don't get to see him in that movie, Sista. So yeah, that was very similar to this issue in this movie, Big Love as well. I don't know. Is it maybe too early to call it a trend with Biodun Stephen films? I just hope that in her future projects, if there's a sidekick type of character who is going through their own relationship dynamic or whatever, and they talk about it in the movie, it shouldn't end with just talk. They should also show us the dynamic or the issue or the conflict that character is going through. Because in both scenarios that I've just mentioned, they sounded quite interesting and I wanted to know more and see more, but I didn't get that opportunity and it kind of hurt. Another thing I didn't like about this film was, there are a couple of characters in this film that their origins needed to have been explained. There's these secondary characters in the movie who are just injected into the story and they're somewhat integral, but they're just question marks over those characters. And I didn't feel like I got closure with those characters. I didn't get the explanation as to how they came to be in the story. And it was a bit painful. I'm the kind of person that I like closure generally in relationships and in movies. And I like when, things are tied up nicely with a bow at the end of the journey, at the end of the trip. But I didn't get that with these two characters. Let me just leave it at two. There are a couple of other characters, but there are two characters in particular that I needed an explanation as to how they came about being in the story. And it grinded my gears, when I didn't get that by the end of the film. Another thing I didn't like about this film was there were too many implausible situations in the film. For instance, if you see someone who has like a secret on you that could like change the game, right? You see that person at a party. Ideally, you'd avoid that person, right? You'd be on the other side of the room or you'd leave that party or something. There's no reason why you should be sitting at the table with that person who has this huge incriminating information on you. But for some reason in this film, that happened, and it just that was just one instance out of a few that just seemed a bit implausible. There's one that was really implausible. I was like, what are the odds? Yeah, the chances must have been like 1 in 10 million for this thing to have happened, but it happened, and that was really implausible for me. And I really wish I could talk about it, but I can't. But when you see the film, you too, you'll be like, what are the odds that this would happen to this person and this person and this person? Yeah, so there was that as well. The final thing that I didn't like about this film was that, for me, it was unclear why so many characters in this film took a liking to one other character in this movie. They didn't explain what made this character so special that everyone was falling over themselves trying to get this character to be in their lives. Sorry, that's very vague. I heard it just now. It was quite vague, but I don't want to give spoilers, like I said. Many characters in this film are falling over themselves and they have this deep affection for this other character. But why? What made this other character so special? It wasn't necessarily explained. So yeah, that's the final thing that, at least the final thing that I'll mention that I didn't like about this movie. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. Qui devrait le voir? If you like romance films, I think you'll enjoy this movie, Big Love, although it may not leave you with the normal butterflies that typical romance movies leave you with. And you may need to suspend relationship reality a little bit in order to properly enjoy this movie. Sadly, I'm a bit too much of a realist and a pragmatist to have allowed some things to slide, for me to properly enjoy this film. But like I said, if you enjoy romance films, you'll probably enjoy this movie. In conclusion, this was the 7th film directed by Biodun Stephen that I've seen this first half of 2023. Talk about a prolific director. And I won't list all of them. They're probably showing on the screen right now. I haven't even reviewed all of them. But what I'm learning about Biodun Stephen's films is that you can't really tell how things are going to go. Sure, there are some common elements here and there, and most times the movies have a happy ending, like many other films do, but how you'll get to that happy ending in a Biodun Stephen film will be a mystery. And I guess that's, what makes the ride or the journey so enjoyable. So this film didn't really turn out the way I thought it would, but it was... I wasn't going to hold it up to the standard of Breaded Life. Breaded Life is like a unicorn, and that kind of film doesn't come around often, right? I didn't think it would be as good as that, but it at the same time didn't turn out the way I thought it would turn out. It was an interesting watch though, and I found myself really, really wishing that I had seen this film with a young lady, not for like necessarily romantic purposes, but so that she could womansplain certain things to me, because there are things happening in the movie regarding the romance and how when a man likes a woman, he applies pressure, typically the pressure that was being applied in this film, I was wondering if that's the norm or if that would work. So that's why I wanted to see this film with a woman. I wanted to turn to a woman and say, does that happen in real life? That thing that he just did, that thing that he just said, does that really happen? Would that work on you in real life? I really wanted a woman's perspective, regarding the romance and, the application of pressure for love in this movie. So yeah, it would have been a more eye-opening experience for me if that were the case. Who knows? Maybe I'll try and see it again with a female friend of mine, or just a female. Yeah, let me reverse out of that corner that I just put myself in. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Oh, I have to rate the movie, don't I? I give this movie, Big Love, 2 jollofs out of 5, the same rating that I gave Sista. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to go out and see Big Love and let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below once you've seen it. Please do not drop any spoilers. That's very important. And if you liked this review, please like it by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and and subscribe to my channel again as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews. I also talk about relationships. Oh my goodness. Believe it or not, guys, they just took lights. They cut the power. Imagine that. But I will finish this review while you watch B-roll footage. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews. I also talk about relationships, and I do have a podcast coming out very soon, this week in fact. To check any of that out, please click the card in the corner of the screen. I'm still doing the hand gestures that I normally do when I talk about this stuff, even though I know you're not seeing me now because I'm in pitch black darkness and you're probably watching footage from the movie Big Love. But anyway, guys, like I said, please like this video by clicking on the like button. It's very important. It would mean the world to me. And subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me a comment down below. Have a great day, a great week, a great second half of 2023, and I'll see you guys real soon in the next review. Take care.